Welcome to Living by Oak Values. I'm Rob, and I'm here with good friend and co-host Gary, better known as the Superior Mailman. Yes, he delivers more than just your bills. He's here to drop some real talk, strong values, and the occasional questionable joke. This is the show where grit meets growth, where we don't just preach values, we live them, and sometimes stumble through them, of course. We tackle the stories that challenge us, the moments that inspire, and of course, a few laughs that remind us that we are just a couple of guys figuring it out, one value at a time. Whether you've been rolling with us from day one or just accidentally clicked on us while looking for something else, welcome to the crew. We're glad you're here.
And hey, before you forget, grab your free toolbox and stay updated at northmancoaching.com. It's like a subscription to common sense with a side of sarcasm. We're real, raw, and ready to rebuild. And tonight, we're bringing it live. Let's dive in and make this one unforgettable. We're diving into the value of positivity.
Yes, being positive.
So let's talk about being positive. Let's actually talk about toxic positivity versus real positivity. What are your thoughts on those two terms?
I have known a bunch of actually I'm jealous of people who are super and are the real positive people. But I have met a lot of toxic people. And it's almost like they're toxic because they live in denial. They don't see it the way they like life truly is, and they want to lie to you. It's like, oh, you just smile and it'll all get better. Well,
And you're,
no, smiling isn't always going to make it better.
and you're jealous of those people?
No, I'm jealous of the people who are really positive. We have a lady at church that she's super positive, and it's not a fake positive. It's she's really deeply positive person, and I do want to be like that, but at the same time, she's been through hard times too, and I understand that she's not always super positive. So,
Okay. I mean, for me, I try to be as positive as I can, as often as I can. But toxic positivity to me is invalidating. So if someone
mhm.
is telling me, that they're sad or something is wrong, and I'm like, oh, just smile and cheer up, you'll be okay. Then I'm not really listening to the problem. And
Yep.
whatever they're feeling, I'm pretty much saying your feelings are worthless. Shut up and be happy.
Sometimes, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh, but you're just telling that person to live in your positive story.
Or you're telling them that or you're saying you just don't want to hear their problem.
And it could
You don't
be.
need to be
Yeah.
positive, but you could be okay. And if you're telling me this woe is me story and I don't want to hear it,
Hmm.
then they're talking to the wrong person, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, it kind of so is being positive a choice or a skill? Because you're saying it's more of a choice.
I feel like it's both, honestly.
Mm.
So I mean, you can choose to be positive or you can choose to be negative,
Hmm.
but you can also have that skill set of bringing on the positivity quicker. Like there's moments where things go wrong in life and you might not be positive, but if you have that skill, you can flip the switch into the positive mode pretty quickly.
I kind of do something similar. I tell myself I'll cry about it later.
Isn't that just avoiding the feelings?
It is, but it's kind of avoiding the feelings so that I don't um it's kind of because I can be a super negative person, and I don't want to get super negative. All I want to do is say, hey, I'm feeling negative, but I'll cry about it later, move on at the moment.
Okay.
And hopefully if I have to come back to cry about it, it's worth crying about. If I have worked through it or processed through it, and maybe it's not worth crying about. So,
Okay. I got that.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Usually, if I'm like upset about something
Hmm.
or I'm finding the negative in a situation, I'll meditate on it or I'll think on it. I don't like to push things off because then it'll fester and it gets worse. And then I create stories in my head of what's really going on, and I make things much worse than they really are. So I try to
Hmm.
meditate or just think through it, what's really going on, and if I have to call you or someone else, I will, just to address it.
Yeah.
You hear that noise in the background right now? Like I have landscapers and airplanes.
I do hear like a leaf blower, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
So, yeah, those guys must work all night,
Yeah.
and they're right next to the window because they must know I'm doing a podcast.
They must know it. Yeah.
Well, let's be positive about this. Hey, you know what? I'm going to have some pretty good looking lawn here when we're done recording or done doing this. The minute we're done,
That's
they'll be done.
yeah. That's how it works. That's how it
Yes.
works.
So I can be negative and get upset about it, or
Yeah.
I can just enjoy the beautiful landscape that I'll have when this podcast is over.
So, talking about being positive,
Yes.
were you the positive person in the relationship or were you not the positive person in the relationship?
Which
Because I was definitely more of a negative person in a relationship until I realized that I had to change my attitude. And so, newer relationships that I build, I don't try to be, I try to keep myself from being super negative.
okay.
So,
I mean, if you're talking about like previous relationships, like years ago before this work, I think I was always very positive going into the relationship. And the minute anything went sideways, then I'm looking for the other shoe to drop, and I was
mm,
Mr. Negativity. Like, oh, something is wrong, something I'm doing wrong, or she must be interested in someone else now, or whatever. Now I'm aware of the stories that my brain creates.
mm,
So I think that I'm more positive than I
mm,
am negative. But like we were talking the other day about the positivity police.
mm,
That's what you refer to it as, like someone who
yeah,
is constantly positive, even when they're like faking it or whatever.
yeah,
Um, I'm not that guy. I think if I was to be faking my positivity, that would just be, that would cause burnout. And I think that if you're also faking your positivity, you are covering up something. You are not allowing yourself to grow. So if something
yeah.
is really negative and bothering you, you need to work through that in
Mm.
order to grow and get past it.
I think there is a lot of that. Um, especially my girlfriend, she covers it up sometimes. Yeah, I think she covers it up being negative. She covers up a lot of her fears, but also she could cover up her fears with being overly positive. But I mean, it's exaggerating something. She covers it up being one way or the other. So,
Okay.
yeah. But
So I think kids do that a lot,
hmm
especially I don't know if it's just being a divorced dad or whatever. I'll go out with my daughter and we'll do something that I think is fun, and are you having a good time? Yeah, it's great, Dad. Or just a yes.
Yeah.
Not like yes, I love this, this, and that. Just yes. And it's like, are you really positive? Are you really having a good time, or are you just trying to make me happy?
Yeah. Well, it could be like the technique that I have started working on, and we were watching a clock, and you know how the clock has a pendulum, right? Back and forth, back and forth. And I was trying to tell Lily, I was like, I don't try to be super positive because as you're super happy, super this, the pendulum's going to swing and something's going to happen where it makes you super sad. I said, I'm not focused on being super happy or super sad. I'm just trying to stay um, in the middle.
Well, in the moment.
Genuinely just in the moment. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
moment.
Be present. Live and enjoy this moment. If you're happy, be happy, but don't
Yep.
over the top.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like, and this might sound stupid, but for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Does that go there? That sound good there? I like that. Maybe.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we have somebody made a comment in the chat. I don't know if you see it.
I don't.
How do I create more positivity in my relationship?
How do you create more positivity in your relationship? That's a good one.
Mm, yeah.
I'd say the first thing, if I could tell somebody how to create more positivity in their relationship, would be probably practice gratitude. But that's not only in a relationship; that's actually in life in general. Since
Mm,
I've been practicing gratitude, I feel like I am more positive.
yeah.
What do you have for that?
Mine is changing negative thoughts because I used to be a lot more negative person, but when I stop myself and I say, am I just being negative? Stop and reframe the story so it's not so negative, etc., etc.
Okay,
That also helps. Yeah.
that seems like difficult though to me. Like I can do it, I can challenge
It,
and stuff, but for someone who hasn't gotten too into this work, that seems a little difficult.
but it goes back to is being positive a choice or a skill set? And it's kind of both
Well, right
because
there, I can
you
see what you're
have
saying.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure, absolutely.
you have to
Um,
work on it. Yeah.
Celebrate your wins.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
do that in the Northman crew. Um, every week, celebrate your small wins, and I think that it's funny actually. That really does work because I even post on that sometimes my small wins, and it when I something could have happened on Monday, and we put that post out on what Fridays, and I feel like Thursday,
Thursdays.
whatever day, I don't know,
I know, I think.
but nevertheless, something could happen on Sunday or Monday, and I could kind of forget. And that when I see
Mm,
that post pop up, and I mention what my small win for the week was, or one of my wins, it really lets me reflect and have gratitude and be positive about that event. So celebrating small wins, I think, is definitely a good one.
mhm. Oh, how about around other positive people? Because who you hang around with helps influence your behavior.
Absolutely, as long as they're not false positive,
Yeah, or what did we call them earlier?
positive police or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was your thing.
toxic positive people. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Though, if you hang around positive people, you start getting a different outlook on life, and it starts changing um, how you see life as well. It's kind of like you see it through a different colored lens. I think there was it, uh, it's kind of like instead of the gray, gloomy lens, everything is happening to me. You start looking out in rose-colored lenses and say, "Oh wow, this is happening for me, not to me."
sure, yeah.
So,
And I would say to acknowledge your struggles.
hmm, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if something's bothering me, the first person I call is you, and because you are not toxic positivity, uh, you'll shoot it straight. You won't just say, "Hey, put a smile on," and cheer up, walk taller, get out of here.
Mm.
You'll validate what I'm feeling. We'll talk through it, and that will allow me to really see my struggles, or that my struggles that I feel like I have, but it will allow me to see it from a different point of view.
That was something that my granddad was very, is like, suck it up, boy.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh. So,
I think that's how we grew up in the 80s and 90s. I mean,
oh yeah.
just suck it up, go out and try again, or I'll give you something to cry about. I think that's one of your favorite sayings.
Yeah, yeah. Give you something to cry about was my dad. He was very like, if you start crying, I'll give you something to cry about. And it
Right.
was just like, oh. So,
Yeah.
but going back to acknowledging your struggles,
Hmm.
it goes to the topic of struggling to be positive is also going to help you become better because you'll realize it. And the saying that we're using for the week is the storm makes the trees take deeper roots.
Hmm. Go more into
Yeah.
that.
And it is like the more you struggle, but you realize it, you'll work on it and struggle, and you'll say, "Hey, well, next time is a better opportunity," and you'll slowly grow. And then you'll be discouraged at first because being positive isn't easy. And but like the trees, you'll start working harder and you'll start ingraining being positive into your soul, and you'll slowly get better at it.
Absolutely, yeah. You'll
So,
also be able to catch your triggers.
hmm
So if something's making me upset or always makes me upset or in the negative mindset, when I catch that trigger before I can slip into the negativity, I can start rescuing myself,
hmm
self-rescuing myself.
Self-threat, yeah. It kind of when we say the storm makes trees take deeper roots,
Yeah,
it's almost like saying this too shall pass. When it does, you'll be stronger for having faced it. Kind of
absolutely.
like that. So
Yeah. So and
I know
everything.
that.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go
You
go.
go ahead.
Yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
not. Nope.
I was about to say you like the saying the storms make trees take deeper roots because you like the
Yes.
oak trees.
Yes. It reminds me of the oak trees and New Orleans and the way that they're very shallow roots, but they hold each other. With all the roots are intertwined, so that as the storms come in, they can't. It's harder to knock the trees over. But what you were saying earlier about facing things,
Hmm
um, there was a time in my life, very long period of my life, pretty much from birth until like 40 or so, where I would avoid everything that I possibly could,
mm
and that is not good for growth. Now when I
mm
see situations, I face them head on. I figure out why they're bothering me or what I need to learn from them, and that helps me
hmm
stay positive and keeps me growing.
So do you feel like you're a tree that is constantly learning, meshing into other trees, keeping yourself
For the most part, yeah. I mean,
um
like everybody
positive?
else, I have my days.
Yep.
So, but I'd say 90% of my days, I try to live with positivity. But if there is a negative moment, I will acknowledge that moment. I will figure out what's causing it, face whatever I
hmm
have to face, and I'll get through it. If I got to call you or someone else or journal about it, whatever I need to do, I will do it to get through it.
mm
Like even today, we talked earlier about setting that class up, and I messed up one of the videos.
Yep.
I could have gotten upset and said, you know what, screw this, I'm done. But I just said, okay, let's write this down. I got to change this one and do this one and put this here and that there. And thank you for all of your work and helping me with that. And now I'm aware. And I mean, I'm not excited about doing things over again, but I'm not upset. It happens.
That would have been me in the past. I
Yeah.
would have flipped out. I would have been like, "What? What do you mean I got to do it over again? What? This and this and this. I did it right the first time.
It's your fault.
It's yeah, it's not my fault. It's your fault."
The computer's
Yeah,
fault.
I
I did it
think
right. You screwed it up.
by being more positive though, I think I'm a little bit more patient with myself.
Yeah.
Um, and as I was researching this topic, I asked chat for like a famous person who was positive, and it came out
It said me,
with
right? Me.
No, it didn't say me.
No.
It said The
Yeah.
Rock. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He's
Yeah.
very movie star guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very motivational.
Yeah. And as I thought about it, I mean, he is pretty positive guy. I was trying to think of a movie that he's not really positive in, and I I've enjoyed most of his movies because he's a pretty positive, seems to be a pretty positive superstar.
He was in a
So,
movie with who's the short guy? The loud
uh,
short guy.
Loud. Oh,
Yes.
you're talking about I actually watched that movie.
The high
Uh
school thing?
yes, the high school one.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But I feel like in that movie, he is toxic positive. Like he's not. It doesn't. It almost doesn't seem real. And I know he's acting.
Yes.
It's not really real, but it's a
Yes.
little over the top.
He does do some toxic positive in his movies because there was another one where he was negative. The Santa Claus movie
Hmm.
with J.K.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Yeah.
No, that's not it. I'm not gonna do this with you
J.T.
again.
Simmons. J.T.
Yes, that
Simmons.
guy. That
Yeah.
guy. Yep.
He was much more of a negative actor in that one. And it was weird to see him so negative, but it was at the same time it was kind of He was also negative in the Rundown. He was a little bit more negative.
I haven't seen that.
That was one of his earlier ones, pretty decent. So,
I think the
but
first movie
the
I saw him was Moana.
oh yeah, he was positive in that one.
Nice.
So,
You're welcome.
uh, but Chat was sitting there going, one of his famous sayings was, "I like to use hard times of the past to motivate me for today."
Okay.
And I can say, yes, I do that. I do that too. I use hard times of the past to motivate me, to push me to be a better person tomorrow. And yes, I do that exact same thing.
Okay.
Um, because I've used my past, I've used divorced, I've used struggles in my past to say, hey, you need to be a better father. You need to be a better friend. You need to be positive instead of telling yourself a different story, etc., etc. So,
Gotcha. I think I do the same thing, but only when I'm working out. I think
mm,
like I'm trying to get that last rep, and I'm ready. I can't push the weights anymore, and I just think of a negative time or a hard time in my life, and that usually gives me the strength to get that one more rep,
mhm.
that one last mile, or whatever I got to do. Right when I'm about to quit, I try to channel in some bad times in my life just to motivate and push me, and that usually works.
All right. So, if you're out there, the listeners, what is one tough situation that made you stronger in the long run? Share your story with us. Make a comment, leave a post, send us a chat, send us an email. Let us know. We'd like to hear from you.
Yes. And another question for the listeners is when life gets rough, what is your go-to way of either staying positive or returning to the positive? Also, let us know in the comments on that one.
That one's tricky for me too. I
Which
have
one?
to return to positive.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
I used to, but I'm telling you, just a little
yeah.
meditation or breath work, just a few deep breaths and holding it. It really just I don't know it. And I know there's a scientific term, and I'm not going to try and get into that, but it triggers
Hmm.
something in my brain. I don't think it's dopamine or whatever, but it triggers something for me to think differently. I don't know.
In the
Maybe it's
past,
uh,
though, I used to use food as a comfort food,
but
and
that would
I'm
get you
trying
back in the positive.
to get me out of the negative mindset. Yeah,
I can
but
picture
it
you right
was
now
kind
with a half-eaten hamburger and ketchup dripping out of your mouth, a big smile, like I'm positive.
exactly. But it's learning not to go that route, in other words. It's training myself that there are better, more productive, positive outlets.
So what do you do now then? If you don't eat comfort food to switch that mindset, what do you do?
Sometimes I go in the garage and I just sit there and tinker around. Um, I try to do walking. Um, I don't do TV anymore. TV is a bad way of because it doesn't really keep you positive. It's just a mind-numbing thing. So,
Yeah, well, honestly, TV is it's like what somebody said it the other day. It's like a visual, it's like visual heroin or a visual
mm,
I don't know, downer. It numbs the pain.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So what back to the first question then, what is one thing what's a tough situation that has made you strong in the long run?
Tough situation that's made me stronger in the long run. Uh, that um, I hear myself. Do you hear me?
I hear you regular, normal.
Okay. Uh,
Maybe because the landscapers are gone.
but it is that I don't need somebody else to make me happy. That was hard for me to learn, especially being married for 10 plus years. I put my happiness on other people.
Okay.
And so after getting divorced, I learned that it was tricky, but that it was like, oh, I can be happy on my own
So,
without
but
other
what
people.
was the tough situation that did that to you?
Tough situation?
You didn't answer the
Is
question.
maybe yeah. Getting divorced, I guess.
Okay.
Is that what you're
I'm
ah,
asking what the situation was that helped you, that made you stronger in the long run. So yeah, divorce is a good answer if that's correct.
if that's correct. Yeah.
It's funny because so for me, it's like it's life. I can't
It
think of
is like, yeah.
tough. Divorce was tough. Absolutely was tough.
Yeah.
But it was tough because I never did this work prior.
Yes.
So it life in general has been tough until I did this work. Like we got to wrap this up, but this work should be taught in first grade.
Yeah.
I mean,
Huh.
you would cut out 90% of your adult problems if this was taught in elementary school.
Yep.
So, but anyway, so I don't know. You want to reach
We're at
out to?
the end, actually, where
I
you're
know
about to tell everybody to join our YouTube
that's you
channel,
doing that.
listen to us on YouTube.
That's your part.
Um, Superior Mailman on TikTok. Watch his videos. And even if you want to join us, we have a men's meeting every Thursday at 7 Eastern Time. Check out our website, northmancoaching.com. We have a link there. Join us, talk about your day, tell us what's going on. Um, Now it's your turn.
Yes, that's my turn. And big things are coming to Living by Oak Values. We have new episodes, special guests, powerful topics that hit home. You won't want to miss a single moment. We're bringing you more live shows, real time chat interactions, and high energy conversations that will challenge you to think deeper, live stronger. Whether you have been with us from just from the start or just joining us on this journey, this next chapter is going to be epic. And here's the best part: we're looking for you. If you have a story to tell, and we all do, living by a powerful value that has shaped your life, we want to hear from you and join. Wow, what?
You did
Join,
not
join
practice
us and be
this.
part of something unforgettable. All right, that was a little weird right there. But
It is.
I also want to let everybody know that we are working very hard on this new class that's coming up. So be looking
Mm,
out for a launch on a class that will help you recover from your relationships, from a bad spot in a relationship. It will also help you maintain yourself to be stronger in a relationship.
yes. Yeah. All right, folks, and that's a wrap. We've spent a year building something real, and we're just getting started. Thanks again for hanging out with us on Living by Oak Values and walking this journey with me and Gary. Year two is going to be even bigger, rooted deeper, and reaching higher. If you enjoyed today's episode, do us a favor. Leave a review or share with somebody who needs to hear this. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on what's coming next. And until then, keep embracing your values and stay authentic. And I gotta figure